On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we assessed OU's additions and losses in the spring transfer portal, and then we give you our winners and losers of the week. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Wednesday, April 30th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful, award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards, and please, can it just stop raining? Please.
A lot of water over the last couple of days. A lot of water.
This is ridiculous, even for our standards. This is when you know it's a lot of rain. We all have those people in our lives. They're usually on the older side that go, well, we need it. We need the rain. None of those people are still saying that right now. I think everyone's like, please stop raining. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been crazy. The amount of water coming down is insane, and there's areas around us that are flooding that I did not know could flood.
How am I supposed to get to a single digit handicap in this weather, Ted? That's my goal, to be a single digit before football season. This is really setting me back.
I mean, a lot of standing water on the course, you're able to, pick up and drop in a better area. It could actually help.
Fair enough. I love how you always find the bright side in some of these things.
I try.
Please stop raining. I hope everyone is staying nice and dry out there. Okay, so for this episode, we're going to kind of take stock of what the Sooners have done in the spring portal. So we're not talking about Mateer and Giovanni Gibson and what they did in the first portal window. We're focusing on this spring portal window. Do you want to start with what they've lost from the roster in the spring portal, or do you want to start with what they've added to the roster in the spring portal?
Let's start with what they lost.
Okay. Devon Mitchell. Lost Devon Mitchell at tight end. Lost Josh Isosa along the offensive line. He's headed to West Virginia. Lost Michael Patterson McDonald. Lost Sam Franklin. Saw that he's headed to USF. Just lost Sawchuk recently. We'll see where Gavin Sawchuk ends up. Lost Cole Gonzalez, which we have not talked about, which I think we should dive in a little bit. And then the only other loss that I can recall, Ted, is Jocelyn Malaska, defensive back. So you're looking at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at me being able to count to 7. 7 guys at this point. And the portal is technically closed, but who knows how this thing works anymore.
Right.
But losing 7 players from the roster in the spring portal, and really none of them were going to be contributors. So it seems like the retention by Brent Venables and Jim Nagy and this staff, like it's been very solid.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess the only guy that really has much production to speak of is Sawchuk. He's had some decent runs, stretches at running back. Last year, didn't see a whole lot of action. And, we kind of had to figure that he was possibly in that 3-man rotation before they brought Ott in, and that had to change that dynamic to some degree. And I'm actually curious to see what the market for Sawchuk is out there. Highly recruited guy, has some really nice ability, but I mean, whenever you look at it as a whole, I you got to say that they avoided any. I mean, the David Stone situation was the closest we came to losing like real future production, a guy that you thought was going to have a large role in the coming season.
I I didn't say we didn't lose anyone significant to be disrespectful to Sawchuk.
Right.
He's done all the right things. When he's been healthy, he's been a solid player for the Sooners. It's just when if everyone was healthy, I think he was going to be your fourth running back.
Yep.
So
Probably
how
right.
big of a contributor is your fourth running back going to be? I don't know. But I didn't say that to be like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. I do think losing his leadership out of that room is something to keep an eye on
Yeah.
because he is a guy, while he wasn't as productive as he wanted to be, as the fan base wanted him to be, as the staff wanted him to be, because of the injury issues, like the guy did everything right. Really good in the classroom, really good in the meeting room, really good out on the practice field when he was able to go. Now, you never questioned his investment day to day. You just never did. Like it, huge guy going out and doing things in the community. Was on the all works team this year, which is a big deal. And I just think that it'll be interesting to see if Jaden Ott can come in and Barnes and Robinson, like who fills that kind of leadership void that's going out with Sawchuk's departure.
Yeah. No, the dynamic in the room. I mean, that's the one thing that I haven't heard a whole lot about with Ott is like what is his day-to-day demeanor? What type of guy is he? You know, work ethic and leadership skills and stuff like that. Haven't heard a whole lot. But you know, I do think that could be a factor. You know, you're whether you lose leadership guys to the portal or to graduation or to the draft, when those guys step away, it's opportunity for someone else to step into that type of role and grow into that type of role.
I I hope Ott comes in, and let's be real, you want your best players, your highest paid players to be leaders on your football team. So hopefully he's able to come in and earn these guys respect with the way that he works throughout the summer and assume a leadership role. Because if he's going to be your starting running back and he's one of the highest paid players on the team, like you want him to be one of those vocal type leaders. Now, maybe he's a guy that, hey, I just lead by getting yards, man. Okay, that's fine as well.
Hey, I don't have a problem if you lead by getting 150 every week.
Exactly. I'm fine with that. I do want to say and it's no surprise, Sawchuk like put out a letter to the fan base that he was entering the portal, but just extremely classy. Like I said, that guy has done everything right. And he's the type of guy you root for. It just never, it never really all came together for him at OU. And it's a shame, but I think the fan base as a whole, like we want him to land somewhere solid and go kill it. So
Sure, I agree.
am I crazy to think that when you look at all of the portal losses for the roster, when you look at these 7 guys, that Cole Gonzalez may be the most significant?
Yeah.
And the guy hasn't thrown a pass in an OU jersey?
Most people see that name entering the portal and may be like, who is that? Was he here? Just a very brief stay at Oklahoma for Cole Gonzalez.
Put up a lot of yards at Western Carolina. I think he was a finalist for that Walter Payton FCS Player of the Year award like 2 times.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has played a lot of football, and him going in the portal and he's headed to Pitt. It did make me view the quarterback room a little differently because now I don't know how worried I need to be about QB3, but when you look at the dynamics of the room, there were some people that thought he could challenge for the backup quarterback spot. I was not one of those people because I believe Mike Hawkins is super talented. I expected Mike to get better and to prove, and I thought that Arbuckle's system fit his skill set well. I thought he was I thought he was going to get better because the guy puts the work in. And that's exactly what has happened. He had a really good spring and has continued to develop. And they're really excited about what his future looks like. But there is a worst case scenario that exists during the season, Ted. This is
Yeah.
football. God forbid something happens to John Mateer. Clearly, you're feeling okay with Hawkins stepping in and being the next guy. But then, what's it look like behind Hawkins? That's where Gonzalez's departure makes you maybe feel a little more uneasy than you did, a week ago.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt, which I I don't know if it was a big surprise to them. I guess what his offensive coordinator from Western Carolina went to Pitt, right? So that's the connection there. Now, here's what I think that Cole Gonzalez was like 2A on the roster and 3 at the same time. I think if you're going through the season and I think if there's an ability to keep a red shirt for Mike Hawkins, best case scenario, Mateer doesn't get banged up, doesn't miss a game, and you can preserve that redshirt year for Mike Hawkins. I think that that's something that they'd be really interested in pursuing and being able to pull off. So with a guy like Cole Gonzalez, if you need to get through a fourth quarter, you need to, get through a second quarter, Mateer could come back for the second half on something. Like if there's an ability for a short-term quarterback to go out there and kind of bridge the gap quickly for you, and you'd be able to preserve a red shirt for Hawkins. I think that's what you would ultimately want to do. That dynamic's changed now, at least for the time being. And I do think that we're going to have to pick up a quarterback in the transfer portal just for numbers' sake, because we've only got 3 guys right now. And you need quarterbacks just to operate practice for scout team, for, when you got a practice going on, you got a one-on-ones going on during inside drill. You need a quarterback for inside drill. You need a quarterback throwing one-on-ones. Like, there's a lot of pieces going on in a practice. So just number-wise, I think they're going to have to pick up another guy.
This is where you need a guy like Casey Thompson was for a year ago.
Yeah.
A guy that he's got some talent, has kind of accepted that he's not going to be out there on the field playing. Maybe wants to get into coaching, wants to learn from Arbuckle, like something like that. You got to go find one of those guys.
Yep.
And it's not always easy. That recruiting pitch isn't exactly great. Hey, man, you're not going to play, but come on. Come be part of the squad. It's just, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But when you look at Cole Gonzalez going to Pitt, I don't even want to talk about the worst case scenario at the quarterback position, but I will say, if it was an absolute disaster, let's say quarterback goes the way that wide receiver went a year ago. All of a sudden, QB3 is a true freshman in Jet New that has never thrown a college pass, instead of a guy that has started a bunch of games and thrown for a bunch of yards in Cole Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But this is a problem that is it's not unique to Oklahoma.
Right.
You look at a bunch of these schools across the country. Even your Ohio States. I don't think anyone out there is feeling super great about their QB3 situation.
No. I mean, it's true. It's funny though, man. There's no shortage of quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I was looking at it yesterday, just kind of, looking at the available guys at the quarterback position in the transfer portal. I mean, the list goes on and on and on forever. There's There's a bunch of guys to choose from, and I don't know how willing anyone's going to be to take that role that you're talking about. But even if it's a young guy with the chance to come in and learn for a year and maybe look for another destination later, I don't know, but I do think they're going to add someone.
So I think that makes all the sense in the world. They bring
Yeah.
in Michaela, kind of recruit over him. That makes a lot of sense. We'll see if he's able to get on the field for the Mountaineers. And I'm not trying to pile on the kid, but I do think the fact that Devon Mitchell hasn't landed anywhere yet kind of says a lot about how he went about things at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, just a fascinating study there to see, what ends up happening with him. And, I don't know all the dynamics there, but I, I still know that the kid's got a ton of talent and he's got a ton of time left to get things right. But, whatever the next opportunity is, going to have to need to make it stick.
So just looking at all of the portal losses in the spring portal for the Sooners, you lose one player that may have played,
Yeah,
and that's Gavin Sawchuk.
I think so. I think that's right. And, considering all the talk before the spring portal window of the chaos that may happen coming out of it, I think you gotta say that the losses for Oklahoma damage, you're able to avoid it for the most part.
Completely agree. Great job by Brent Venables, Jim Nagy, and also there's a peer pressure component to all this. Like the guys in that locker room, kudos to the leaders in that locker room, like keeping this thing together.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, let's talk about the additions that the Sooners have made in the spring portal. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
You listen to this podcast to get insight from the guys who played the game. Why don't you take that same approach when it comes to buying your beef? When you order from Didier Ranch, you are getting your beef directly from the people who raise it. A rancher knows what it takes to have premium quality beef. Didier Ranch has done it for over 100 years right here in Oklahoma. From delicious 21-day dry-aged ribeyes to savory steak burgers, there is no better place to get your beef. Get your beef from the guys who've done it and use code Oklahoma15 for 15% off on DidierRanch.com. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, an Oklahoma-owned company and the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. Spring is here, which means busy weekends filled with baseball, soccer, and outdoor fun. Plus, Mother's Day is right around the corner. The new Getaway bag is perfect for moms this spring. Its durable rubber sides can handle muddy cleats and gear, and you can easily rinse it clean. And it works just as great for a road trip car tote or as a beach bag for summer travel. It's as versatile as all the amazing women in your life. Plus, with 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many right here in Oklahoma, you're also helping Oklahomans everywhere. Simple Modern, good everywhere. All right, looking at the additions that Oklahoma football has made in the spring transfer portal, we've got Cal running back Jaden Ott, Stanford offensive lineman Jake Michaela, UTSA kicker Tate Sandell, which, by the way, people, we did record an In the Weeds for Tate Sandell, and that will be up on YouTube soon. It is, as you can imagine, electric. So you've got Ott, Michaela Sandell, and then Utah State defensive lineman Ciola Ricky Lolohea, which his In the Weeds is up on our YouTube right now. That's it, though, right? 4 guys. I guess you throw David Stone. That's not an addition. That's more of a retention piece, and it's probably by far the most significant one, but other than that, Ted, it's just they've been very measured with what they've added to the roster.
Yeah, a surgical approach, as opposed to what you see at law schools, like this big, wide, sweeping. I was looking through some of like the portal rankings, and some of the top teams that are in the portal rankings have like 25, 28, 30 portal additions.
He's
Um,
talking about you, Texas Tech.
right. It's been a little bit more directed for Oklahoma, which I think is a good thing. I mean, ultimately, I think that's the best way. You want your main base of guys to be in the system, recruited, developed, kind of on that path, and then you sprinkle in some talent where you've got holes. And I think that's what they've done. And I mean, three potential starters with Ott, Michaela, and Sandell. I mean, for a small portal window, and you brought on four guys, that's that's a pretty good it's a pretty good ratio if all goes according to plan. I mean, think you got better.
I'm with you. Now, and this isn't an easy question, but, or maybe it is an easy question. The most significant addition that they made, it feels like the easy answer is Jay Knott, but
Yeah,
if Jake Michaela wins the starting job at center and all of a sudden that elevates that group as a whole, that could end up being the most significant addition. Now, that's coming from the former offensive lineman that played center, but I do think that O line and the level that they play at throughout the season, like Jay Knott can only do so much himself. We've seen he's got the ability to make something out of nothing. Like he's got that talent, but if Michaela can win the job over Troy Everett and then kind of elevate the group as a whole, that could end up being huge for this team.
I totally agree. Um, Now, whenever you go to the statistics at the end of the season, we'll probably be able to look at Jade Knott and say, "Well, look at this contribution he made." Not as easy with Michaela, but here's like you said it, Jade Knott can make something of nothing. We don't want a guy to make something of nothing. We want a guy hitting home runs on well blocked plays. And
Don't
if
don't get me too excited, Ted.
if Michaela, I like the level where the offensive line is. They're coming along, and I don't think, if they can stay healthy, have a good off like spring, summer, and then fall camp. I mean, I like the position our offensive line is in. I think that there's a decently high ceiling for that group, and he could be a piece that helps it all come together. The other piece, though, is, I mean, I think that there's a chance all of our SEC games are one score games.
Oh no,
And
you're gonna
if
say it.
if we got a kicker that's hitting pressure kicks in big moments, I mean, that when it comes to win losses, he could end up having a huge impact one way or the other.
Are you telling me you think Tate Sandell could be the most significant portal addition?
There's a chance for it. I hope we're not even talking about him and Jade Knott, goes for 1,800 yards and we just blow everyone out. I hope that's what we're talking about, come November, December. But I do feel like there's going to be some low scoring games. Points are going to be at a premium, and being able to trust a kicker to go out there and be automatic for you is huge.
I I think that they were very targeted when it comes to, hey, we're going to add guys that are starters. Like I expect Jay not to start. Michael and Everett, we'll see how that battle works out at the center spot. Sandell, all indications he's going to be your kickers. He's going to be your kicker. And then Lolo Hea, he feels like more of a developmental guy that we'll see what he is down the road. But yeah, they didn't just bring in a huge amount of guys here, which we know that Jim Nagy and that front office have been like, if I believe that if they could have added a guy that they feel would improve the roster in a significant way at a reasonable price, then they would do it. Now they've missed on some guys. There's no doubt, but it makes me think they feel pretty decent about where the roster is at.
Yeah.
Is that fair, so? Or am I just kind of being too optimistic? Maybe I'm being too optimistic. I don't know.
I think it's fair. I mean, I think we can also point out and say, if they had the ability to go get a plug and play starting tight end that elevates you to, like right now, it's hard to know what to expect of that group. But from what we typically see week to week in the SEC, we're behind the group. If they had the ability to go sign a starting tight end that puts you like in the middle of the pack, in the SEC with what you got at starting tight end, I think they would have pulled the trigger and done that. But there's not a lot of those guys out there, so I think, and when there is, the market is very competitive. So, I mean, I think maybe the lack of being overly aggressive at tight end maybe tells us that they feel better about that group than they maybe did going into the spring. And they got like what they hoped out of some of the portal guys at the January window, starting to trend in a good direction where maybe they feel like they didn't have to be as uber aggressive at that position, but maybe they were and they just struck out. I don't know.
It could be kind of a combination of both.
Yeah.
That's probably where it lies. There just are not a bunch of good tight ends in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I know the fan base is very, very frustrated that they have not been able to land a tight end here in the spring window. But, I mean, just think about all these teams are battling for a tight end from Missouri State.
Yeah.
Like that's
what the market looks like.
Yeah, that's where it's at. There's not a bunch of guys that are, you're like, that guy's going to be he's going to be a top round draft pick. There's just not a bunch of those type of guys in the portal at tight end. And one thing that Nagy made very clear when he took the job was, hey, we're not going to do dumb things. I mean, you're not going to go out and drop $1 million on a tight end. You're just not going to do that. Oklahoma is not going to do that. So you kind of just have to, sounds silly, but like trust the process.
Yeah. Ride it out a little bit. Hope I mean, I had interviewed Carson Kent on the radio show, and, I feel like that group has a chance to go out and overachieve. I mean, I think the expectations are pretty low for the fan base, for the tight end group. But, listen to Arbuckle say that he felt like that position group really had a good spring and came on strong, especially over the last week of practice, and started to have some nice moments. I'm optimistic there, I guess cautiously optimistic. My expectations are not incredibly high, but I think we have a good group of guys that hopefully is going to continue to progress as they learn this offense and settle in and get a little more comfortable. I didn't know this, but Carson Kent, they were running like the option where he was. So he he was doing a bunch of different type of blocking, and so it's been a transition for him, but he's starting to get it down. So I don't know, maybe we got a diamond in the rough in that group.
I feel like you and I feel the same about Carson Kent. Don't ask him to block at the point of attack. Let him go run some routes. We've seen the guy run routes in practice.
He came in for that interview in person. He's a hell of a lot bigger than I thought he was.
Good.
He's like 6'5", 250 plus. So he's got a good physique. He's got a build to him. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. He can run some routes. He can go make some plays on competitive balls. We'll see. Don't know.
Tight end is still the biggest unknown on the roster, though.
That's right.
If they can kind of late in the game, if they can make an addition, They'll try, but it
If
all
we can
depends.
make it, if we get to the post game and we're not saying what the hell's happening at tight end, then I think we're okay, right?
Fair enough. That would be great. I do think what the other needs, when you think about it, we really haven't heard anything about corner.
Yeah.
There haven't been a lot of talented corners though hop in the portal. So you can't, you can have your behind the scenes conversations, but if a guy doesn't jump in, he doesn't jump in. So it is what it is. Wide receiver with, even though Giovanni Gibson, like the outlook is more positive than we originally thought. Really, the only name right now is Jermichael Carter from McNeese State, who has good size. Had a decent freshman year there at McNeese State with 537 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns.
And he
Three
kind of
years of
fits the
eligibility
profile
left.
of what they want. Big,
Yeah,
and he's
he's
got
6'4", 190.
yeah, and he's got plenty of years of eligibility left, which seems to be, not always, but one of the trends that teams are wanting to do is they want to go to the portal, but they want to go with guys that have multiple years of eligibility left instead of just kind of the 1 year rental, I guess, for lack of a better term. Um, I will say at corner, it's kind of another position where you got a whole bunch of guys that are kind of in the same spot, and then you got guys that are like legit starting corners, and that comes with a price tag at corner, so you got to make a decision there. And we don't have a lot of proven talent, but because of injury and stuff, but we've got some decent depth at corner. And depending on what happens at Cheetah, you've got the availability to maybe move Kendall Dolby to corner as well throughout the spring because of, Dolby and Bowen being out. You got to get a really good, honest look at a bunch of younger guys. And I think some of the younger guys perform decently well there, and they feel like there's a good positive outlook. So, I mean, Gentry Williams and his health is going to be a critical factor there. And, you know, maybe depending on how they feel about him and like again what maybe is going to happen at Cheetah, that may have changed the priority list on what they're looking for at corner, but I don't know.
Thinking back to 2 seasons ago, there were stretches where you and I we'd be talking during the commercial breaks on the radio broadcast and be like, "Hey, is Gentry our best player?"
Yeah,
Like he
aggressive, tackles well. I mean, it was almost a problem. He was so aggressive, coming up and making those hits and tackles that probably led to him getting injured with that shoulder because of how hard downhill he was coming on plays.
I just may go to our church every morning and just, on the side where you can light the candles, little
Mm-hmm.
prayer candle, then you give your little donation. Just maybe every morning for Gentry Williams' shoulder to stay attached.
Got a dedicated candle there every morning. That's
This
funny.
is Gentry's shoulder health candle.
I
I
like it.
If he can stay healthy though, you're feeling way better about things. And then, like you mentioned, if Dolby gets back to what we saw from him a year ago, where he was one of the best players on the field, then you're feeling much better about things, knowing you can always kick him out to play outside corner. But yeah, they're other than what's it look like for Gentry? What are they going to do with Dolby? There's been very little conversation about the corner position when it comes to the transfer portal.
I agree. Yeah. Um, Again, there's some good athletic options there. Some guys with some size. Jacoby Johnson, they expect to be another contributor at corner. So, I mean, I feel like we're in a much better spot to where, like a lot of these positions, we've got like. Would you like to add a plug and play starter at some positions? Yes, but I think we've got some good quality competition going on there for depth guys that if they're thrown into the mix, you don't necessarily feel like it's going to be the end of the world. But I don't know, a long time before the fall gets here.
One quick thing I want to point out about Ricky Lolohea. We did the In the Weeds.
Mhm.
I kind of prefaced the first three clips with, hey, I know this is Boise State's backup offensive line
Mhm.
because he was stuffing the center in a locker and owning him. Turns out, shout out to a couple of people in the YouTube comments. Turns out that guy actually started 8 games for Boise State.
Okay.
And it's like a fifth year senior.
Had like an 1,800-yard rusher, so I mean, had to be.
Now, I just the fact that he started 8 games for Boise State doesn't mean that he's good. I'm just saying he doesn't look good. And he didn't start at Garter Center in that game in particular. But shout out to the viewers that pointed out that guy was an 8 game starter for a college football playoff team a year ago. So that made me view those clips a little differently from Lolo Hea because
Yeah.
he absolutely owned that guy.
Yeah.
Go watch it on our YouTube channel, In the Weeds. If you're not watching those,
What are we doing?
what are we doing? Are you even a real fan? Let's get to call your shot. We asked you guys your number one takeaway from what OU has done in the spring transfer portal. This first one comes from Jason Tittle. He says, I love it. Got a potential superstar running back and possibly fix the kicking issue. Also, technically got the number one defensive tackle from the portal. Just go get a tight end boomer. That's a pretty good assessment from our guy, Jason.
Yeah, and if people care about it, maybe we should do that moving forward. Just have a bunch of top guys jump in the portal, re-sign them, and get our portal grade super high. But
Oh,
I
game the system. I like it.
game the system. I do agree, though. I mean, who knows what we're saying in the fall? But right now, like, there's a chance you added a bunch of points in the spring portal window. If Ott is a double-digit touchdown guy and Sandell's automatic at field goals, you got to. There's a chance you added a big chunk of offensive production in the portal window.
I love this next one. It comes from Bradley Worthington. He said, Jaron Canick hasn't tried to do the 100 man versus one gorilla challenge. Really shows how far he's come as a leader on the team.
Yet hasn't tried it yet.
We may be the only podcast in the world that have not talked about the hottest debate on the internet. I would like to know Canick's opinion on the 100 men versus one silverback gorilla.
I know he's got one.
There's no doubt. He's probably crunched the numbers.
Yeah.
Knowing him, probably did some type of reenactment. I'm sure Stutzman is involved in some form.
Yes.
Ted, you are a man that has a lot of opinions on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, your thoughts on the 100 men versus one gorilla. I'm just telling you, I'm taking men. I'm taking the 100 men. It's a physics problem. Just you all grab a limb. You're going to be able to wear out the gorilla. This thing lives on plants. It's not going to have the energy regeneration to fight this fight. I'm getting 100 MMA guys. People are like, hey, who's going to be the first guy to go? Oh, there's a whole sport of guys that are insane enough to be the first guy to run at the gorilla. I'm not worried about it. Wrestlers, MMA guys, I'm gathering all those dudes and saying, hey, let's go prove this gorilla that it's inferior to man.
It all depends on how this thing is set up. If you can hand pick your 100 men, that's a different scenario. But if you were to grab 100 men at random, then, and I think most of the men would kill each other trying to not go, like, you're next to go attack the gorilla. Because after the first guy that goes out there and gets his arms torn off and beat over the face with them, everyone's going to be a lot less likely to go just dogpile the gorilla because there's going to be casualties. How many? I don't know. And I don't know what, like, ultimately, once the gorilla is worn out I think the only chance is if the gorilla dies of a heart attack from overexertion, lactic acid poisoning, which is a possibility. But the setup of the drill is the most important factor. Without knowing exactly what the details are, it's hard to know because you're going to lose a lot of. If there's the possibility to lose part of the 100 men from fear after they see the first group of horrible casualties, then you're going to lose some. All right, if there's that availability.
I feel like we've had some of these discussions over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're always team animal in these.
Yeah, well, there's a very strong tendency to I don't think people realize that gorillas aren't necessarily the case, but like when it comes to large cats, all they do is kill things. That's all they do all day long is kill stuff. And I think people forget about that pretty quickly and underestimate the skills of some of these animals. It's what they were. It's what they evolved to do is kill. So keep that in mind.
So, for the official record, you are Team Gorilla.
Unless I learn more about the rules, I'm Team Gorilla.
I'll take men. Outsmart them. Outflank them. You just need one really good leader in the group to unify the group and to come up with the plan. Now,
You're going to need like 10 leaders because the first leader is going to die a horrible death.
10 leaders then. Attack them from behind.
Yeah.
I don't know. 100 dudes is a lot of dudes.
I don't know outside of someone like LeBron James size, I don't know that a human exists that has long enough arms to even get their arms around a gorilla's
Core.
neck, head, and neck area. Because I've heard people say choke them out. There's nothing to choke. There's like a triangle of traps this big that go directly to the top of the gorilla's skull. Like, I don't know how you choke that.
Is someone going to actually do this in real life?
I was going to say I hope so. I really don't hope so.
Let's just be honest. I feel like I have a good understanding of what people will pay for. This would be an instant buy on pay-per-view or ESPN Plus for like every dude I know. There's a money-making opportunity here.
If it's going to happen, it'll happen in Russia. It'll happen in Russia. I mean, they have all kinds of crazy fighting sports over there. There's guys that like literally fight with like medieval weapons and stuff. It's pretty crazy. So if keep your eye on the streaming sports coming out of Russia. That's where it'll be.
When I was in Denver, our defensive line coach, who played in the league for a long time, said that him and other guys, they used to do hand-to-hand combat with bears that had been like declawed and get paid for it.
Nice.
Like just standing up, like literally like boxing with a bear. I was like, wow. Okay. So yeah, stuff like this happens. It happened back in the day.
Interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, if the gorilla wins, I don't know how good is the training these days. Could you train a gorilla to play a 3 technique? I mean, is that possible?
Anything is possible, Ted.
Are there rules against that? I don't know.
I think you have to be a human.
Well, can we get them? I mean, all you got to do is enroll them in school. I mean,
if it's going to happen anywhere, let's be real, it's going to happen in the SEC first.
Right.
So if you can do it, an SEC school will figure it out.
New NIL deal coming
Try to
soon.
create some type of gorilla man hybrid in a lab
Yeah.
to play three technique for you.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here, but here we are. All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the week. But first,
Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality meats, hot dogs, and sausages in OKC since 1912. Go to schwabmeat.com to order any of Schwab's outstanding products and use promo code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab dogs are iconic. I like to keep it simple. Just a bun, dog, mustard, ketchup. Also, the jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage is ridiculous. schwabmeat.com, code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days.
Oklahoma's favorite pub, Pub W, is a modern American pub offering a great new take on classic drinks and cuisine. They offer an extensive beer and specialty drink selection with something for everyone, and that's exactly why Pub W was voted best happy hour. And we all love a delicious brunch. Pub W brunch is served Saturdays and Sundays until 2 p.m. with some of the most delicious brunch offerings you'll find anywhere. Now open in Yukon, Oklahoma. Visit one of their 6 Oklahoma locations. Visit pubdub.com for locations and menus.
Insurica has launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
It's Derby week. Kentucky Derby is here, or it's around the corner, and the winner of the week is Dream Walking Farms, Toby Keith's horse racing farm. They got an entry in the Kentucky Derby. Rendered Judgment is going to run. Huge hobby, huge pastime for Toby. Loved it. They got a horse in 30-1, running at the 15 post spot. Trainer's Kenny McPeak. So those who have been watching, was it Race for the Crown or Chase for the Crown on Netflix? McPeak won the Derby last year. Actually won the Oaks and the Derby last year. Hadn't been done in like 50 some years. So got a good trainer, got an opportunity. Who knows what's going to happen out there, but very, very cool story. Rendered Judgment. Toby Keith's horse is going to be running in the Kentucky Derby.
We have to bet on it, right?
Yeah. 30-1. There's some odds there. Huge payout possibly.
You got to put a few shekels on TK's horse. I mean, it feels anti-Oklahoma not to.
Yeah, no big deal. Just throw a little exacta box or something. Pick a couple of long shot horses. Hope that Rendered Judgment gets in there.
Do you remember that the Derby last year?
Yeah.
What was it, Mystic Dan? Is that
Mystic
right?
Dan. That's right.
Oh, no, I know it's right because I've had to watch, like I mentioned last episode, the animal racing continues in my home. All my kids want to do is watch horse races on YouTube.
Great.
Like
a great race to watch is when Smarty Jones was going for the Triple Crown for the at the Belmont and came up just short. And it's an amazing race, and the call is fantastic.
It is to the point with my 2 sons where I can leverage, like I can use them being able to watch a horse race at our house, like on the TV in the living room. Like I can get them to do pretty much anything. Dishes, clean the counters. Like they will do whatever I ask them to do if the reward is we get to watch a horse race. Yeah. I've never felt this power and it feels good.
I like it. That's good. What a household. I mean, that's awesome. You could also start, taking bets for their allowance, You want to.
They don't get an allowance. One just turned 2 and the other turns 4 in June. They don't.
I guess that's
allowance.
True. Yeah.
But last night they cleaned up their toys willingly because the reward was they get to watch an old Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
And we
I
watched the
like that.
2024 one with Mystic Dan, which, by the way, incredible finish.
Incredible finish. Yep.
So I'm last night in bed after I put them to sleep, I was researching like best horse races of all time, and I was making a list. I just I'm going to use this as long as I can. Like if the reward I could get them to do pretty much anything if I let them watch a horse race. And the Derby is awesome. So I we just may have to make an event out of this thing on Sunday at the Ikard house.
And I don't know if you've watched the Secretariat's Belmont, but that's the one that you got to hang there for like when you really need them to do something before they get to watch maybe the coolest horse race of all time.
I haven't even let them know that mom and dad have been to the Kentucky Derby yet.
Yeah, you don't throw that out there yet
I
because you'll be hounded on
we've
that one
we've
forever.
got pictures. It happened. Shout out to my man Eric Wood. Hooked us up. Had an amazing time. I will never forget at the betting window in whatever the turf club or whatever it was called. I'm just I'm putting a very reasonable bet on a horse. Turn to my right, Julian Edelman, Tom Brady, stacks of cash.
They were there, huh? What year was that you went?
What's that? 2016, 17? Out of 16, I think.
They ended up having a couple of famous trips to the Kentucky Derby, didn't it? Didn't
I
they?
did
That
not.
girl?
I think you're thinking of the Welker one. I did not
Yeah.
see Wes Welker in that form,
Okay,
which all time video, amazing.
that's
But
good.
yeah, really fun experience. Really enjoyed it. Weather was awful, but that's okay. But at some point, if this continues, they're gonna think we're so cool that we went to the Kentucky Derby. It's gonna be awesome.
That's cool. That's fun.
Who do you have as
Well,
your
good luck
loser?
to render judgment. 30-1. Get your bets in now.
Loser of the week. Who
Loser,
you got?
Bennie Wylie. I mean, he and Lincoln Riley have been, connected at the hip for a while now, and I got a feeling that the GMs are coming in and making changes, and I'm sure that there was some pressure on this one because that's been Lincoln Riley's guy. But Bennie Wylie, no longer the head of strength and conditioning at the University of Southern Cal.
I would love to know like some more of the details. I do want to say I always really enjoyed Benny Wiley as a dude.
Unbelievable guy. He is an unbelievable guy.
I can't really speak to how good he is at his actual job. I think you and I expressed some frustration when it came to how the roster looked when he was the strength coach. But I I don't like celebrating when people lose their jobs, man. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I totally
And he's
agree.
a good like he was always very very cool to me.
Yep.
But I that it's noteworthy, and I don't think the timing is interesting, right? Right as the portal closes, you fire your head strength coach. Not next it.
No. And typically when you make a move like that with the summer getting here pretty closely, you would think that they've already got a hire in mind for that because they got to come in and get their ducks in a row before. I mean, this is like it's kind of like firing your offensive coordinator right before you go to training camp. The season for strength and conditioning is about to happen in the summer. Like that's the biggest time for strength and conditioning. So, I mean, it's time is of the essence here to get whatever hire they have there put in place, get their programming set, and try and have a productive summer. But yeah, I don't know many of the details. I do have to feel like this was probably a call that maybe came above Lincoln Riley's head because I doubt it's something that a move that he would make.
Did you see what Bennie Wylie posted on Instagram?
I did not.
It's just a picture of that weight room there at USC, and the only caption is a peace sign.
Oof. Well,
I I would assume he's not pleased.
yeah. Yeah. That's tough. I mean, that's part of the, I mean, that's the real world part of it. And, we don't think about this a lot, but you've got guys that you've been in the industry for a long time, and they're not just a part of your staff, they become a part of your closest core of friends and like an extended family. So you got to make those hard moves every now and then. And again, maybe this is why the GM position is so good, to where there's a barrier to where this isn't my move. I went to bat for you as much as I could, but unfortunately this is the direction of the program.
Be interesting to see what ends up happening there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they already announced it. I didn't see it, but
Yeah.
got to assume there's a lot of people that want to be the head strength coach at USC.
Still a top tier position for sure.
And we'll see what happens with Bennie Wylie. I will say, once or twice I've screenshotted some of the workouts he's posted that he's doing there at USC, where it's like, hey, the guy clearly knows. I'm not saying to the football player side, but when it just comes to looking good and in an outfit in everyday life, the guy knows what he's doing. So, I screenshotted a couple of those every once in a while. Just taking a look.
If the number one way to evaluate a strength coach is, do they look like a strength coach? Bennie Wylie checks that box 100%.
There's no doubt. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that develops there at Southern Cal. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first, if you're as passionate about OU sports as we are, now's your chance to make a difference with One Oklahoma. As the official NIL partner of the University of Oklahoma, One Oklahoma plays a crucial role in keeping the Sooners competitive in the SEC. Your subscription goes beyond the revenue sharing cap, directly helping recruit and support the athletes who become Sooner legends. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive events, behind the scenes content, merch, giveaways, and more. Join the team and be the difference maker for your Sooners. Join today at oneoklahoma.com. And three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise. It's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go. And go to opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED for 10% off our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED. Buttery soft and 10% off. From my winner of the week, thought about going with George Kittle. Whew.
Man.
4-year extension with the 49ers worth $76.4 million, including $40 million guaranteed. Makes him the highest paid tight end in the NFL, as he should be. He's excellent. Guy's just had an incredible career so far. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if people realize that or not. He's just an absolute joy to watch play football. I wish they would have gone to Oklahoma and not Iowa. Big miss. Big miss.
If there's one thing that we can all agree on, we have to get a better grasp of the tight ends coming out of the state of Oklahoma. I mean, because there's a bunch of guys that are kind of going all over the place and having a lot of success. We gotta get that back here. And I will say that the tight end, we talk about this a lot. Like in the draft, there's positions that trend up and that trend down. Tight end is one of those in the league that is on the upward trend. Guys are making a lot of money at that position. And we saw how many guys in the first 2 rounds at tight end did we see go? There was quite a few guys that went and some potential really good players there. But you're right. He's one of those players that you love to watch because it looks like every game he's just having the time of his life out there.
Absolute joy to watch. And the fact that he blocks at the level that he does is just, and he's the threat that he is as a receiver. Like, he's one of the best all around tight ends that has ever played. And I think by the time he's done, like, he'll have the stats that reflect that.
Typically, there's like a direct correlation with the amount of balls you catch and how much of a willing blocker you are.
It's usually an inverse.
That's right. It just goes like that, but he is highly productive, catches a bunch of balls, and is a willing blocker and is good at it. So I'm with you.
Congrats, Kittle. Very well deserved. Still really wish you would have played at Oklahoma. Dang it. Winner of the week, though. Give me the Denver Nuggets. Stayed up to watch that one last night, and that was impressive. Jamal Murray was fantastic. Just a brilliant playoff performance. 43 points for Jamal Murray. He was 8 of 14 from 3.
And he was playing with some speed, and he was flying on the court last night. It stood out to me. I haven't watched a ton of the Nuggets, but whenever he stood out last night, it looked like to me the fastest guy out there on the court. He was all over the place.
If you would have told me before game 5, hey, Jokic is only going to have 13 points, not 30, 13. He had 13 points in this game. I would have said, well, the Clippers win by double digits. Mm-hmm. And that's not what happened because the guys around Jokic were awesome, most notably Murray, but Westbrook was awesome, especially in the first half. Like, he is playing a huge role.
Well, he had like 15 or something in the first half, didn't he?
Yeah. Just hitting shots, the energy he brings. And that was the thing. Like, the Nuggets just looked like they had way more juice than the Clippers.
Yep, I agree.
Ted Harden had the Harden game. It seems like he has one or two of these every playoffs, just where he disappears. 11 points, 3 of 9 shooting. I don't know how much Clippers our listeners have watched, but James Harden has been very, very good this season for them.
Yep.
And he just disappeared in game 5. It was like, where's the guy at? I mean, it was.
I do feel like it's been a hard fought series, and you do feel like for whatever reason the Clippers just didn't have the juice. And is that something that continues in this series? Because you got your last chance at home if they play with the same type of effort, or maybe effort's not the right word, but they need to get the speed and energy back in their game. I don't know. And they got to get hard. Like, their best players got to play better.
Kawhi was solid.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't as good as we'd seen him in a couple of the first 4 games of the series, but yeah, Harden just kind of with the no-show, man. And that can't happen if you want to beat a team that has Jokic and Murray, like, and these guys, especially in their building. So, and the interesting part about it is the first 4 games of this series, I feel like most people were looking at it going, the Clippers are the better team. The Nuggets are lucky that it's 2-2.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those people still thought, okay, hey, this turns into a 3-game series, advantage Clippers. And now after the Nuggets just smack them around in game 5, you look at it and go, I don't know. I expect it to go 7. I think the Clippers win game 6 in LA, and then we'll get a decisive game 7 in Denver. And maybe the most important question is, will the Nuggets wear those god-awful 5,280 jerseys again? What is happening in the playoffs, man? Why are teams doing this?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. it looks like you turned on the TV and what's Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league called? Like
The
it
big
looks like
three.
the big three. It looked like I flipped on the TV and one of the big three teams was playing with the uniforms that the Nuggets had on. Just like
It
a one-off, like totally random uniform.
doesn't even say the name of the team. And I get it. 5,280 feet, mile high. I get it. You do not wear that jersey in a massive playoff game. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong because they played awesome.
Played well in it. Hey,
Maybe Jamal Murray is like, I'm a 5280 jersey guy. We're wearing him again. If that's the case, okay, no argument here. If the players love him, okay. I find that very hard to believe that they love the multicolored dot wave stripe pattern going down the side of them. Find it hard to believe that they walk in the locker room and they're like, awesome. Can't wait to wear these.
I don't know. It's strange, but I guess it's you got to sell the 5280 shirts in the the t-shirt area, like the merchandise around the stadium and online. You got to sell the 5280s, I guess.
At least the court matched the jersey.
No.
At least there was some order there, but gosh, those jerseys are awful. All I really care about is that both of these teams continue to beat the hell out of each other and be super worn down for when they play the Thunder next round. That's really all I care about. And before last night, if you would have asked me, I would have said, "Hey, I want the Thunder to play the Nuggets." I think the Clippers are a deeper team than the Nuggets. But Jamal Murray playing that way, like that guy has shown up in the playoffs time and time again. I think
It's
they said it
great.
was his sixth 40-point game in playoff history.
Yeah, he played 40 minutes, which is interesting. Just looking at the box score, Denver, their starting five all played 37 or more minutes. Murray played 40, and then Westbrook played 25. No one else really had hardly any minutes at all. I wonder if that's going to do a number on their legs as they go out to play in LA. But I don't know. They had their number for sure last night. The energy, maybe the 5280 was a factor. Maybe that's what was going on. The elevation got to the Clippers.
They kept seeing it on the jersey, and it just kept reminding their brains, "You're at high elevation. You should be tired."
That's right.
It's a mind game with the 5280 jersey. Maybe I'm coming around on it. No, I'm not.
Are
They're
are
awful.
50? Are you winded? Can you breathe? Yeah, it's. I don't know. It looked like it was a factor.
Meanwhile, Thunder just getting their legs back. I assume fine tuning some things on the
Hmm.
practice court, probably putting together some game plans for either team, working on a lot of that stuff in practice. Dude, round two is going to be so fun. I'm so excited.
Can't wait. It's going to be great.
My loser of the week, Milwaukee Bucks. There is a lot to cover here.
There is.
First of all, game four. Dame Lillard goes down with the torn Achilles. Just, Ted. For an older guy, just an absolutely, it's a brutal injury no matter what. But at his age, and he was coming back off the scary blood clot situation, just basically a worst case scenario for the Milwaukee Bucks with him tearing his Achilles.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's interesting that it happened. Like I would feel like you're more of a risk at something like that early in a season, not late. But I guess you just never know. And he is getting up there in age. But that's with the way that he plays, that's going to be a tough one to come back from.
He is scheduled to make $54 million next season and $58 million the next
Oh,
the year after that.
God, you got to love the NBA contracts. Take your time coming back, Dame.
Take your
Take your
time,
time.
Dame. But
18-month rehab.
it's a huge blow for that franchise. And now it starts this conversation of, okay, what's this mean for Giannis and his future in Milwaukee? And now that their season is over, like that's going to be during the NBA offseason, that's probably going to be the top topic of discussion. Hey, is Giannis going to ask out because the uncertainty of Dame Lillard and like just their cap situation? Is it actually the smartest thing for Milwaukee to just get a king's ransom for Giannis and kind of hit reset on everything? I don't know, but it's going to be something that everyone is talking about. Then you have what happened at the end of Game 5. First of all, end of regulation, Giannis misses a game winner, and he thought it was in.
Yeah.
Right online, you could see the way that he jumped up and down after it didn't go in, like he thought it was going in. But it's all good because Gary Trent Jr. goes insane in overtime. Scorched earth from 3 until he turns it over twice in a row. One where the ball goes straight through his hands and then through his legs out of bounds. And they were up 1. Shot clock was off. Like it was clear Pacers were going to have to foul him. He's going to go to the line. Hey, who knows what happens? Maybe the Pacers hit a 3, tied up. They go to double overtime. But it's highly unlikely that they lose the game in the first overtime if he just catches the ball. Credit to Tyrese Haliburton. Gets ISO'd on Giannis, takes him right to the rack. I don't know where the help is. Lays in. I feel like it's rare to see a game-winning layup off the glass.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But Pacers win 119-118 on the Haliburton layup. Haliburton was awesome in the fourth quarter and overtime. It's all people would be talking about if it was not for his dad.
Right.
What in the world was that, Ted?
That was wild. I didn't see the end of the game until later, and then I saw that, and it almost like the angles I saw, it almost looked like there was a court storming. Was there a mini court storming going on? What was that?
There
were a lot of people on the floor.
There were the most people on a floor I've ever seen after an NBA game.
Yeah.
Like there were the players, but there were a lot of other people who were like, who is this?
Right.
That cannot happen. Tyrese Haliburton's dad goes onto the court as the game ends and gets in Giannis's face. It's truly one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Now, maybe his dad goes on the court a lot there. Yeah. I'm assuming that's the case.
Now.
And I get it, man. Hey, your son's awesome at basketball. Congratulations. You're fired up. But he's acting like he just won the game.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't be on the court. It doesn't matter if the star player is your son. You don't go on the court and get in Giannis's face like that. And he is so lucky that Giannis is a good dude.
Yeah. Of all the guys to go, like, that was probably like, that's the best outcome that could have happened. Like there's some guys where you could like not necessarily get away with it is not the right term, but there are other players where that is, especially when the season's over, right? That's the wrong place to do that. But, you know, like you said, I feel bad for Tyrese Haliburton because he was so good down the stretch, and it does take away from the story of how good he played, and that's the only thing anyone's going to be talking about.
Great job, Haliburton's dad. Your son has quite literally the best moment of his career. And all people are talking about is you being an idiot. Great job. Fantastic work. What was he doing? Those are the actions of an absolute clown.
Probably had a couple of drinks during the game, I'm assuming, and I don't know, maybe he didn't expect Giannis to say anything back or engage in it. And I don't know if, or maybe that was the plan all along. I have no idea, but um, bad move.
Am I a bad person that I wish that Giannis would have just knocked him out? Does that make me a bad person? Just because, dude, Giannis is one of the best players in the world. He's an all-time great. And you go and on the court when you shouldn't be on the court in the first place and get in his face after he just put up 30, 20, and 13.
Right.
Like, part of me thinks the best thing would have been for Giannis to just fold him like a lawn chair. And I do think that, I don't know. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
Yeah.
bad. I was like, what is this clown doing?
Well, it's interesting. As the salaries have gone up, I'm assuming Giannis 55 million a year type of guy, right? 50 plus million. It has really changed the dynamic. It wasn't very long ago that, uh, Giannis would be a 10 million a year guy. Well, the math on a 7-game suspension looks a lot different when you make 50 plus $1 million a year than whenever you make $10 million a year. That nearly $1 million a game check that you're not going to see, that hurts a little bit more. And ultimately, I think that's led to like less fights and like there's still the pushing and shoving stuff, but there's a very, very important financial decision to be made whenever it comes to situations like that. But in every now and then, you feel like the real world needs to apply to the court at times, just as a reminder. So I am with you on that.
Giannis is great, dude.
Yeah.
Had a great answer about it after the game. Guy seems like he says all the right things all the time.
Yeah.
Phenomenal player. I do feel bad for Haliburton.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best moment he's had maybe in his career, and maybe he has some better ones coming. That was a huge deal, huge moment, just completely overshadowed by his dad being an idiot.
I haven't heard any response from him. I'm sure he was asked about it, but did he say
Yeah,
anything?
he was asked about it, and he was like, he definitely didn't think his dad was in the right, and he would talk to Giannis about it. His dad tweeted something. He's like, yeah, shouldn't have done that. Won't happen again. I'll never do that again. It's like, well, buddy, the NBA has no choice but to ban him the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because this is the way I see it. What if I did the exact same thing that he just did? After the Thunder closed out someone and I ran on the court and got in LeBron James's face and started cussing at him. What would happen to me? I wouldn't be able to go to an NBA game for years. What, Tyrese Haliburton's dad could just do it because he's Tyrese Haliburton's dad? Like, the NBA is in a very tough spot here.
If the NBA sets the precedent and they do nothing, are you going to test it out and see if it translates?
Just might. Depends on how many tequila sodas are consumed.
Who on the Nuggets would you go out after the game? Jokic?
No. Because you never know when one of his brothers is going to pop out of the stands, man. I'd rather fight the gorilla than go after Jokic.
I feel like the Jokic family has buried some bodies.
I'd want no part of those problems. I think Christian Brown. I like my odds. No, he's a big dude, and he's a huge factor for that team. But he went to Kansas. That'd be a nice little back and forth. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Jokic, are you crazy?
Oh man!
One last thing on the Pacers thing. They too went with the alternate. Like, what are they doing? The spray paint graffiti court in jerseys. There's like neon colors. It's a playoff game, guys. What are you doing?
What is there like a push to?
Who makes these decisions, Ted?
Is this like a '90s theme that they're going with all of the coloring and everything?
I don't know, but you want to know the thing that really bothered me?
What?
I and it was I found myself getting mad at it throughout the first quarter. Then I'd forget about it. Then I'd get mad again in the second. Then I'd forget about it and I'd get mad in the third, and so on through the overtime. They're wearing the spray paint, whatever indie jerseys. There's like paint splatter patterns on the end of the court. I don't know what they're going for there. I just don't understand. Is there a big graffiti culture in Indianapolis that I'm not aware of? I don't know. Maybe I'm just an idiot. But the thing that really bothered me, the shirts in the stands that they handed out to all the fans was the normal like gold yellow on their traditional jerseys. We have to have better coordination as an organization. If you're gonna hand out a shirt, it needs to have the color of the jersey the team is going to wear on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the court now. The graffiti yellow is like a Golden State yellow.
It's like a highlighter yellow.
Yeah.
And then the shirts
Mustard
in the stands
yellow.
are like a gold that's on the traditional Pacers jersey. You guys, details matter in an organization. You can't print the gold shirts and then come out in a jersey that doesn't have that color on it. You
There's
look like clowns.
There. Yeah, it clashes. You're right.
It's awful.
Let's coordinate this thing. What are we
The
doing?
Thunder would never.
I mean, at least, maybe Indiana, like if you're gonna, they want people to buy the graffiti shirts, not give them to them, right? If you're trying to sell the merch, you got to buy the matching shirt.
I guess. Did you see what the shirt said on it?
What's it say? Like, yes, sir, or something?
Yes, sirs.
Pacers. Yeah.
Trying too hard.
Trying too hard.
Yes, sirs. No one says that. No one says that. That's enough on that game. Clearly, there were a lot of things about that game that riled me up.
Yep. It was wild. Wild finish. Indiana looked like they were dead, and they came back and got it done at home big time.
Birthday shout-outs. Welcome to the world, James Bosworth Anderson.
Welcome to the world, Boz, and happy 4th birthday to Luke Lashley.
On that note, episode 523 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Sunday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you go visit our website, okbreakdown.com. We hope you all have a great rest of your week. Have an awesome weekend. Until next time, we appreciate. Oh, I messed it up.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Sometimes there's just too much saliva buildup. It happens all the time. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening, and do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.